Hello and welcome back to another video of Fun English with Alex. Today I am really excited because we're going to do something on this channel that I've wanted to do for a long time since we started. And that is bring you 2 videos every week. One video on Friday for our intermediate level 4 learners and one video on Saturday for our level 5-6 advanced learners. Now we wanted to do 2 videos every week in the beginning when we started this channel, but things were just so busy we weren't able to do it. But starting this week, this Saturday, we will have an advanced learner video for our level 5-6 available on Saturday. Woo! And of course, our intermediate videos will be there on Friday, like always. If you are one of the new learners to our class, to this channel, make sure you subscribe below. That way you get the videos as soon as they come out on Fridays and Saturdays. And just leave me a little comment section below, letting me know where you are out there in internet land watching this video. Simple, something like hello from Holland, hello from Mexico City, hello from Manila. Wherever you're watching this English video, down in the comment section below, just let me know where you are. And to our normal students, and please just say, hey Alex, or a thumbs up, just to let me know you watched the channel. Now today's video is for our intermediate level 4 learners, and we're going to talk about a grammar point that I really do love, and I think it's super important to learners. And that grammar point is tag questions and auxiliary verbs. I promise it is a lot easier than it sounds. All right, let's get started with today's video and head over to the classroom. Okay, let's get started with today's video. I promise by the end of today's video, you will be a professional at tag questions using auxiliary verbs. But before we can give you some examples of tag questions with auxiliary verbs, first you need to see a definition of what an auxiliary verb is and what a tag question is. First, let's take a look at a tag question. A tag question is a very short clause at the end of a statement which changes the statement into a question. For example, she is from California, isn't she? The tag question would be, isn't she? Okay, I know it's not clear yet. First, let's look at the definition of an auxiliary verb. An auxiliary verb is a verb that changes or helps another verb. Okay, I know things are not very clear yet, but after we do some examples, things will be a lot more clear. So let's take a look at our first example here. You are from California, aren't you? So here, the auxiliary verb would be are. So you see how it changes? So in the beginning, it's are, but at the end of the sentence, it's aren't. Please remember, after a positive statement, we need to use a negative tag. In the beginning part, you are from California, that is a statement. But at the end, if you change it around and put aren't you, you make it into a question. Now, I know that sounds a little bit complicated, but I promise you, we're going to do a lot of these, and by the end, you will be very clear. There's one important, very important thing to remember about tag questions. Intonation. Intonation is very important in English and perhaps most languages in the world. Intonation really changes the way the listener feels about your statement or your question. For example, this is a beautiful dress, isn't it? So when your intonation goes down, maybe you're surprised, maybe you're not happy, or maybe you really don't think that. But if the intonation goes up, you're happy and you really do think that. For example, this is a beautiful dress, isn't it? So when the intonation goes up, you agree or you really do believe that. But if the intonation goes down, perhaps or maybe the listener might not think that's what you think. So be very careful with the intonation. If the intonation goes up, isn't it? You seem like you really do believe that. If the intonation goes down, maybe you really don't believe that. All right, let's practice a couple more. Angela is here, isn't she? So again, so you just see it just switches around. So is becomes isn't, and Angela becomes she. You just turn it around. You're just confirming. You're just making sure information. Now, the great thing about tag questions, it helps you confirm information. Maybe you're 70, 80% sure about something, but just to make sure, you can use tag questions just to confirm your information is correct. Let's take a look at another one. They were on holiday, weren't they? Again, you just take were, you change it to negative and put weren't, and then you put they after. So as you can see here, all you're doing with a tag question, you're taking it and you're just switching it around. So you're making a statement, and at the end, that statement becomes a question because you just want to confirm that your information is correct. All right, let's try one more. It is a big house, isn't it? Again, the only thing you're doing in a tag question, the auxiliary verb is, you're switching it to negative and making it isn't, and you're putting it after. So again, it is a big house, isn't it? But be careful with the intonation, because if you say, it is a big house, isn't it? If the intonation goes up, you really do feel that. That's your real opinion. But if you say, this is a big house, isn't it? If the intonation goes down, maybe that's not something you really think. That's not your real feelings. So be careful with the intonation. If the intonation goes up, that's really how you perhaps feel, or maybe you feel. If the intonation goes down, maybe that's not something you really think. So in this first one, the auxiliary verb we're using is. That first auxiliary verb is. So in the beginning, if you say is, at the end, you have to say isn't. The first part is a statement. At the end, it is a question. All right, let's move on to our next auxiliary verb. Now this one, we're going to use are and were. But we're going to change things around a little bit. This time we're going to put the negative auxiliary verb in the first part, and we're going to put the positive auxiliary verb at the end. It doesn't matter. The only difference is if you have positive first, then you have to have negative. And if you have negative first, then you have to have positive. Let's take a look at some examples. Tim and Ted aren't rich, are they? So again, don't forget, intonation are very, very important. Here, Tim and Ted aren't rich, are they? The intonation has to go up. But if I put, are they? Maybe I don't really believe the statement that I just said. So the intonation is very, very important too. All right, let's take a look at another one. They weren't at the movie theater, were they? So you see here, we put weren't in the beginning, and at the end, we put were. Okay, you starting to see the pattern here? So what you're doing is you already know information, you think, you're just not 100% sure, so you're trying to confirm the information with the listener. We do this a lot in English. You will hear it often. Perhaps today you think, oh, I did hear something like that in the past, but I wasn't sure why they asked me in a negative way. Well, this is what they're doing. So these are tag questions, and they're very, very useful. Now, there are many, many tag question forms and many auxiliary verbs that we can use. This is just some of the basic ones that you hear the most. Now, tag question with auxiliary verbs, I promise you, is a very useful technique to use in the English language, because maybe you're not sure about something and you just wanted to confirm with the listener that your information is correct. For example, You aren't from California, are you? So in your mind, you think that person is from California, but you're just checking. Of course, you can say, are you from California? But the difference there is, are you from California? That sounds like maybe 10 or 20%. You know what you're saying, or you know what you're asking. You're not very sure. Now, of course, there are many tag questions and many auxiliary verbs. The ones we practiced today is, was, and are just the most common ones. And we're going to practice more in our next video. And until I see you next time, aloha.